I know honesty is a very important thing as well. Do you say that strategy is more solid than it used to be, but do you think that ad agencies are now honest enough with their clients and the problems that they face? Or do you think that the climate that we live in discourages that level of honesty?
Well, we've always believed at PBH, and I've always believed both, the way you run your business and the strategies. The truth is the greatest strategy you can ever employ, because it's disarming. People always remember it, they understand it, and they want to be a part of it. And yet it's something we find very difficult to deal with. As individuals, we find it being truthful to each other hard, but there is an attractiveness to it, and knowing that you're in an organization where you will get the truth, where you will hear what people really think. It may not be right, but at least they know what you really, really think, is fundamentally important. So, I think your presentation has to be laced with that. It has to be, all the way through it. It has to be absolutely honest. If you've got something wrong, say you've got something wrong. That doesn't matter.
You talk about people having won the pitch, before the clients walk in the door with their work. Do you think, obviously this is about new business and pitches, but do you think that in a way agencies can get too preoccupied with grabbing for the next piece of business, and where the best thing for new business and for pitches is focusing more on the work that you've got?
Yeah, I think there's, we won't mention any names here. Why not? No, I won't do that. No. But there is a huge danger in that you have this fantastic new business machine that just sort of churns through the clients, gets them coming in, and you forget the business you've got. The best new business you've got is the business you've got, and you kind of invest in the mortgage, as somebody once said to me. And there is a huge danger, and it's like that thing of running the bath with the plug out. And it's if anybody, I'm not very good at numbers, but I'm sure your financial people will tell you, you really don't start making money out of a piece of business until it's in its second or third year. Well, if you're losing business as fast as you're getting it, then you're going to have a very unprofitable company. And I think there's a danger in clients seeing you constantly pitch, and they think, well, all those people are pitching, they're not on my business. And if there's a moment when they feel you're not paying attention to them, but the new bit of business that's walked through the door, then you're in serious trouble with the business that you've got. And remember, that's, retention is the greatest way of securing a great business.
And of course, particularly nowadays, I guess the emphasis for pitches should be on expanding the business you've got out of your existing clients as well.
I think it's one. I got this chart which I show, which I've obviously got here. And it's kind of what we do for Audi. And, it started when we worked with Audi. Originally, we did TV, we did some posters, and we did some print, and we might have done some radio. They didn't use that a lot. And it was like those 3 or 4 things. If I showed you the chart today of all the things that we do for Audi, from dealer relationships to kind of point of sale to all those things, and all of those things are new bits of business. And they're working with a client that we know, very efficient to win that business, very efficient to kind of scale up for it. And also it deepens your relationship with that client, because in a way it becomes harder for them to move, because you're doing so much for them, not just a couple of ads, which they could go, well, I'll go somewhere else. So, that is an obvious thing to say, but we constantly have to state the obvious things in this business. Look after the business you've got. That's the best business going.
Going back to what you said earlier about, showing, the most important thing is to show that you're an interesting, engaging group of people. So, beyond the ideas or the actual creativity that you may or may not show in the pitch, is your emphasis on demonstrating that here is a group of people who will be good to work with and who you can trust creatively, professionally, and all those sorts of things?
That is definitely the case. And I think the thing that I would say is you've got to have the creative people in the pitch. And it's fundamentally important. It's one of the things that really annoys me about our industry is, how can you be a creative industry and not have creative people at the top of it? How can, the wealthiest person in advertising be an accountant? It's kind of madness, isn't it? Mick Jagger is probably one of the wealthiest people in music. Richard Rogers is one of the wealthiest people in architecture. In our industry, it's an accountant. And it's it's ridiculous. I mean, not that I'm saying I want to be measured by money, but it's a symbol of what's gone wrong. And if you don't have creative people in that pitch and who can really, really be the person or the people the client looks at and goes, I trust them. They're the ones who are going to do it. And if you don't have those there, then you're just a management consultancy, and they might like you, they might not. So creativity is fundamentally important. Those people have got to be there in that pitch, and if they're not, you're at a massive disadvantage.
But if they're not, isn't that part and parcel of this whole kind of losing your swagger thing? Is that, of course, if we go back to like the 70s or 80s, it was fundamental what you're saying. Now we've gone full circle. Do people just get scared of unleashing creators in case they were mental?
But I think, in a way, I like it when they're mental. And I like the fact that they go in and they say things that clients don't want to hear. Because, you always got to remember that creative people can always do that. But they're creative, aren't they? Well, you would say that, wouldn't you? What can you expect? But they love the passion. Yeah. And you can, in a way, that is one of the things that has changed. I mean, we talked about Collett Dickinson Pierce, who, in my view, there are only two great agencies. That's your phone. You didn't turn it off, did you? See, didn't read the brief.
No.
But there have been two great agencies in the world: Dordane Bernbach and CDP. Dordane Bernbach was they invented modern advertising, and CDP because they took creativity to the market. They took it to the mass market, and that's what made them great. And I think we're all benefiting from what they pioneered back in the 70s. So, but in those days, they could just, they had the most stunning show reel. I mean, it was just, they did actually have a queue of people waiting to be allowed into the agency. And I've always said, I would like our show reel to be in such a place as, we just play that and say, do you want to come or don't you? That's it. If you don't want to come, fine. Off we go to the next one. Not to be arrogant, but just simply that's what it's about.
Yeah. But that's why, Collett's, that's why they could afford to have people half drunk in the meetings and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Because they had such a big reel, and now people cannot afford to have that anymore. And clients used to tell them, "Oh, isn't Alan Waldy hilarious? He's so drunk." And how many agencies can you get away with doing that?
I'm not sure that that's kind of rose-tinted glasses or rose-tinted glasses maybe. But things change. And I think clients do want to see. I think it's very important for creative people to be exposed to the clients, not overexposed. They can't be at every meeting, but they've got to be there. But in a pitch, it's fundamentally important. I mean, you cannot, because creativity is going to win the pitch or not. So you can't have a pitch without the creative people there. I mean, just ridiculous. So there are lots of things that you've got to do in a pitch. You've got to have, the initial group of people who meet them are the people who are going to work on it. You've got to work all those things out. But, telling the truth, having creativity there, reminding people that, you're going to tell them things they maybe don't want to hear, fundamentally important.
Tell us a bit about the impact of globalization, how that has affected the type of pitches that you've done over the years.
Well, I think, people say to me, so what's the big difference over the last, BBH is 30 years old. And in a way, obviously technology has been absolutely profound. But the thing that really I think has changed is the globalization of our industry. If I look back at, 1982, when we started to have some business, virtually everything we were doing was for a UK-based client, not necessarily a UK client. Whereas today, when I look at what we're doing, sort of 75% of what we do has a global remit. So you're pitching now for pieces of business where, I'm talking to somebody, as I said, from Shanghai, and there's somebody from North America, and so it's a very, very different scenario. But, certain fundamentals stay the same. The ability for people to realize that you have a point of view, that you can articulate that point of view, and that you are creatively led is still fundamentally important. But you've got to show them work. You've now got to show them work, which we kind of try and give them a vision for what it is. That's the other thing that I think is very important, that you're not presenting advertising when you're doing a pitch. The big mistake is to think you're presenting advertising. You're presenting a future for this brand. That's what you're really presenting. You're saying, this is where you'll be in 5 years' time. This is where we want you to be in 5 years' time. This is the opportunity. So nobody ever just walks in and says, well, I'll buy that and buy this and buy that and we'll run it tomorrow. They're not really doing it. They want to be excited about where they could go. Your job is to excite them and to give them a real future. But if you just keep it to advertising, then I think you limit what it is you're offering them. We never try and make it just about the advertising. We try and give a company a philosophy, a point of view. So for instance, and that's where, the sort of the team works brilliantly together. So for instance, when we pitched for Johnny Walker, now about 12 years ago, I mean, the great bit of thinking there was strategic, and it was a brilliant piece of thinking which simply said, whiskey's in decline because it represents success in a very old-fashioned way. It represents it, people in tuxedos and penthouses, and it's all cliched and crap. And the strategic thinking said something absolutely simple and so profound, and it said, success isn't a place, it's a journey. And you go, that's a fundamental change in how you define success. And when you do that, you kind of get to keep walking within about 10 minutes. Brand's called Johnny Walker, had been for the last 200 years, has a striding man as its logo for the last 150 years, never got to keep walking because nobody strategically had said, do you know, success isn't a place, it's a journey. So that, and then when we did that for them, we gave them a whole vision for where that brand could be with that, where they could go with that, and how it could work. And we, that was one at that moment, bang. I knew it was. And that thing of can you phone it over? I mean, I wasn't involved in that pitch. I was in New York at the time, and I remember calling up John O'Keefe, who was our CD working on it. And I said, so John, what's the idea? And he said, blah, blah, blah. It's not about a place. It's about a journey. The lines keep walking. I said, you've won it. Put the phone down. Bang. You've won that. And you know it. You know when you've done it. You know when it's really, really great. And that, So that's what you're giving somebody a real, and you've changed the market. And you can change the market with that.
Conviction sounds like the sort of thing that you are talking about, having definite convictions, communicating those convictions with certainty and passion.
Yeah. And that's why you can't select a number of options. Oh, well, let's give them 3 options. Oh, Jesus Christ, So which one do you believe in? Oh, I don't know. I'll wait for you to decide. That weakness, and clients, again, smell weakness, have certainty. It doesn't matter that they agree or disagree. They'll love the fact that you're passionate about it and the fact that you believe in it. And if your logic has been right, if your thinking has been right, they'll say, well, they were really, really good. I'm not necessarily agree with that, but that's kind of passion that I'm trying to buy. What they're really buying is a relationship. They're not really buying the work, they're buying a relationship.
Don't some clients really secretly, whilst they might say, oh yeah, we want someone, don't they really want a relationship where it's subservient, the agency of subservience. So conviction might scare them.
Yeah, well,
I suppose you would say that's not the sort of client you want.
And we don't want that client.
Yeah.
And that's why we're very lucky. We still work with Audi. We've had Audi for 30 years. I mean, we actually, fun enough, we are still working with Whitbread, but on their hospitality side, that was our second client. So, I think when you go to, when you pursue something with conviction, there is a chance that you'll hold on to it for much longer because they really genuinely respect what you say.
Hold your nerve as well.
Yeah. And you're not going to win them all. You can't win them all. But you've got to self-select. You've got to go, this is what we stand for. That's why, you walk into BBH, there's a black sheep. Why is the black sheep there? The black sheep there is because when the world zigs, you zag. Don't be like everybody else. You've got to go against the grain. Oh, I don't want to go against the grain. Right, the door's over there. Why don't you go now? Save us all a lot of time. And if you're not doing that, you're just wasting everybody's time.